Welcome to my channel. History of today we will now about the history of United States part 18. Most of the relief and programs were dropped after the 1938 in the 1914 when the conservatives regained and power in Congress throughout the conservation's elections of special important is the Social Security Program began in 1935. The economic is basically recovered by the 1936, but had a short regions in the 1937-1938. Long-term and unemployment, however, remained the problems until the solved and wartime and spending. In an effort Dionysius part US of interventions and saddles at the subsequent fairs in Latin Americans. Roosevelt amounted 1 March and 4, 1933, and joined to the inaugural address. In the field of world policy, I would and dedicated these nations to the policy of the good neighbor, the neighbor who resolutely respected himself and became the he does know so, and respected the rights of the other neighbors who respected his obligations and respected the security of his agreement in and with a world of neighbors to create a friendly relations and between the United States and Central as well as South African countries and Roosevelt as South through strategic and military force in the regions. The first station was armed trade and wealth and cordial help and resolve and security state of Conference of American States and Montevideo in December 1933. World War. In the depressions years in the United States and remained first one domestic conscience, will and democracy declined across the world, and many countries fell under the control and dictatorials and imperials. Japan started the domain in East Asia and in the Pacific. Nazi Germany when the fascist Italy and militarized and created the concept, while Britain and France at home apartment of Chap with another war in Europe. U.S. realizations in the Nationality Act thought by shot about the foreign and conflict, however, policy and closed, and the increasing ethnic feelings and following the German and invention of Poland in September 1939 that started World War. At first, and Roosevelt and politicians what US as the arsenal of the democracy, pleading full-scale and financial and the humanitarian support for will the landed leagues and agreements, but you are no military and professional. Japan to triad and natural America's power in the Pacific and attacking the Pearl Harbor in 1941, but instead by catalyst and Americans supported to enter the war. The main and contributions of the U.S. allied the effort and compressed money of industrial output of food and petroleum and technological inventions and specifically 1944 and 1945 military and personnel much the force the U.S. government a maximum the national economics output and causing the democratic increase in the GDP and export the vast and quantities of supplies the allies and to American forces overworks. The ended unemployment and rise and civilian and consumptions even as 40% of the GDP with the war and effort. The millions of wars moved from a productively and occupations too high and effectively jobs, improving the productivity throughout behavior, technology, and management. Students, retired people, housewives, and that unemployment moves into the activity labor force. Economics mobilizations was managed by the war and production world, and a wartime production boom led by the unemployment dropping out the age visiting of the great and desperation labor and short age and encouraged the industry to look for new sources and workers and finding new lords and the women and blacks. Most durable goods and from unavailable and meat and clothing and native clothes entirely rated in the industrial areas. Housing was shortly supported and people that doubles lived in the complete and quarters price was growth after to the incest and returned the desperation. Americans once of the front and tolerated to the extract work because the patricians and increased prey and confidence that it was only for the duration and life to the return and normal. As soon as war soon, allies to the United States and Britain and Soviet Union of the countries of Germans as the maintain gave with highly properties of Europe. It was dominated in the war against and Japan was stopped and Japan's expansion into the Pacific in 1942 after losing part and heavier the Philippines and drew into the battles of the Coral Sea in May 1942 the American Navy and inflicted a described Bello and Midway June 1942 and Americans ground approaches assist in the North American campaign and that eventually concluded with the closed and Mussolini's fact in government in 1943 as Italy and switched to the elite side. A more significant European front was opened with June 16, 1944, in which American won allied the forces and invaded Nazi-occupied France from Britain. And warfare also inspired and challenged Japanese sentiment, leading the Japanese and Americans and Rodels exploited water and 9,066 a result in over the 1 lakhs and 20,000 Americans and Japanese and descendants being removed from their homes and planted into the charm and to third those entered the American military was a development of increasing leading the maintenance and project to the secret and the under later fashions and product automatic bombs the first and nuclear device and detonate of conquest by July 8, 1944. The Allies and puts and by Germans output of Francis or the Western and stopped for living and barling to the Solvist used James and formally capitulated in May 1948, ending to the war in Europe. The physics fake US and implemented and Ireland hoping and strangely toward Turkey. Two Philippines was eventually recontract and after the Japan and the United States and private in history of largest naval battle. The battle and lately glove. However, the war and the wide outlook of the development United States and invested the Philippines city and town were the completely destroyed. Thank you for watching my videos. Please like, share and subscribe my channel for upcoming videos. Goodbye.